Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be making a homemade classic, and that is meatloaf. Instead of putting it into a loaf pan, today we're going to be making little muffins out of it, or almost like a cupcake, but a meat cupcake. But anyways, we're going to run through the ingredients that we're going to need today. So obviously ground beef. I'm using extra lean ground beef today, and it's about 3/4 of a pound. We're also going to need some onion, carrots, we've got garlic, an egg, breadcrumbs, Parmesan, ketchup, mustard, Worcestershire, and salt and pepper. So without further ado, let's get started. The idea for these vegetables and the meatloaf is to make them as fine as possible so that as they cook, they start to melt into the beef itself. So we're going to start off with cutting the onion, and we're going to finely dice it just until we have about 1/4 cup. The next step is the carrots. A little trick I use is the cheese grater. The only caution I have here is make sure you don't go down too far out to cut your hands. Just go slow and take your time. And then the last vegetable we have to chop up is the garlic. So I have one huge garlic clove that, again, just finely dicing that. We'll set this aside and we'll head over to the stove. To ensure that none of these vegetables are raw in the meatloaf, we're actually going to cook them down really quick before we add it into our mixture. So over medium-high heat, we have olive oil and the onions and carrots. We're also going to season at this point. And we're going to add pepper, oregano, red pepper flake, and paprika, and just mix that through. And after about 3-4 minutes and the vegetables are softened, we're going to do our garlic. So we add a little bit more olive oil, throw the garlic in there, do one last mix, and we're ready for the meat mixture. Now let's get those hands dirty. Let's start off by adding 1/4 cup of ketchup, 1 tablespoon of mustard, and 1/2 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. And then add those vegetables in, and we'll cool them down by mixing them together with these condiments. And then once it looks about consistent, let's add our ground beef. Once we're done with that, we will crack our egg. And just make sure you get any shells you may have dropped. And then we're going to add the panko in there, and we're going to start to get our hands dirty here and mix all this together. Really get in there, make sure everything's smooth and consistent. You don't want streaks of ketchup or streaks of onion. And keep adding panko until it's not very moist. You don't want it too dry, but you also don't want it sopping wet from all the ketchup and mustard. And then once I get my hands clean here, we're going to add some freshly cracked pepper and some salt. We've already seasoned, so don't go too crazy. And then the final touch there is the Parmesan cheese. Give it one last mix through, and we're ready for our muffin tins. The final step before these go into a oven set at 350 is to grease a muffin tin, and then using a ice cream scoop, evenly distribute the beef mixture into the different muffin holes and flatten them on top. And then we'll take the ketchup we had earlier and just drizzle a little bit on the top of each one, and we're off to the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. Alright, everybody, our meatloaf mini muffins are out of the oven, and they are looking absolutely delicious. The ketchup that we put on top is sort of caramelized a little bit, so that's going to taste really good. And everything just looks really good, so let's dig on in and get to the taste test. Alright, so this is pretty easy to serve up. You're just gonna, once these have cooled a bit, they kind of shrink back in and are really easy to pull out of the pan. Usually I do 2 per plate. So let's get those 2. This is kind of missing something, isn't it? Meat. Potatoes, of course. Now, if we really want to be healthy, we should probably have somewhat of a decent vegetable, not just potatoes. But what else goes with this? Green beans, of course. Makes perfect sense. You got meat, potatoes, and some sort of vegetable, right? Now let's top it off with some pepper before we really dig in. Now we're talking. see, we'll get a little piece of the meatloaf first. Oh yeah. Texture is super smooth. There's no weird chunks of anything. Just all the flavors that we put in there really meld together. The garlic, the onion. Can't even taste the carrot, so it's a good way to sneak in some extra vegetables there. Ketchup on top just adds a little bit of sweetness, which is exactly what this needs. And we'll try the potatoes as well. That's good too. A little secret in the store-bought potatoes, just threw it in the oven and it came out really good. And of course, green beans. Yeah, canned green beans. So this meal is super easy. Definitely something anybody can knock out during the week. This is a Sunday, which is good for Sunday dinner. We obviously are going to have plenty of leftovers, which is good because these are really good. Another thing you can use this with is doing sandwiches. So if you had some baguettes or something, you can slice up the meatloaf, the muffins, into smaller slices and put that on a baguette or something. Tastes really good. It's almost like a meatball sub. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. Give it a try, and we hope to see you guys next time. See you later.